We'll get going since we're running a couple minutes late here. Good afternoon. My name is Kaylee Pratt, Senior Policy Analyst with the Partnership for Strong Communities. Welcome to the penultimate session of the conference. If you've been sticking around with us for the last 3 days, glad to see you're still here. It's been a really great conference so far. You are currently in Next Steps, facilitating implementation of municipal affordable housing plans. And of course, as you see on the screen prior, if you want to tweet us, hashtag CAHC 2022, and you can find our handle at PSC Housing. Before jumping in to our sponsors, I just quickly want to run through a couple housekeeping items. This session is being recorded, and all recordings will be made available as soon as possible following the conference. All participants have entered muted, and we ask that you please stay on mute unless you are asked to come off of mute by one of the presenters. If you have any technology issues, you can go to the chat icon at the bottom of your screen and send a message to me, Kaylee Pratt, or my colleague, Sean Gio, who is in the background right now, our senior policy advisor. Speakers will let you know how to ask questions, likely in the chat function, but I will let them let you know that. And after the session, if you want to provide us some feedback, we'd love that. You can find the megaphone icon in the lobby and provide feedback that way. So before handing it off, I just want to quickly run through and thank our sponsors, leading sponsors, the Connecticut Department of Housing, Connecticut Housing Finance Authority, La Rosa Building Group, Melville Charitable Trust, and Wells Fargo. Our next is our collaborating sponsors, Bank of America, Harper Foundation for Public Giving, KeyBank, Rockport Mortgage, and Webster. And our numerous supporting sponsors. Without all of these sponsors, we could not make this conference happen again. And for this session, a special thank you to Enterprise for their support. All right, and one last thing is that we have opened registration for the December I-Forum, Tenant-Based Subsidies in Connecticut, Equitable Expansion. I will drop a link in the chat momentarily for that I-Forum registration. You can learn more about that event by clicking on that link. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mary Dickerson. Thank you.
Let me get my slides up here. Okay, can everyone see that?
Looks good.
Very good. Well, welcome. This is our presentation. We are Sustainable CT, and this is Next Steps, facilitating implementation of municipal affordable housing plans. So to let you know a little bit about Sustainable CT, we were created by towns for towns as a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Municipal leaders and residents from across the state, the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, and people from key agencies, nonprofits, and businesses partnered to develop this program during 2016 and 2017. The Institute for Sustainable Energy at Eastern Connecticut State University led and coordinated program development with generous support from the Emily Hall Tremaine Foundation, the Hampshire Foundation, and the Common Sense Fund. 2022 marks our 5th birthday. Sustainable CT strives to be inclusive, innovative, and collaborative. We are committed to equity and creating communities where all are welcome and have the opportunity to thrive. We recognize the natural environment as the foundation for the health and well-being of all people and the strength of the local economy. Participating towns work from a roadmap of actions representing the best practices and sustainability. They receive access to many resources, including technical support and funding opportunities, with a goal for most of becoming a certified community. Let's take a closer look at our roadmap of actions, and I think you'll see how these actions work together to support affordable housing. Our roadmap contains 12 broad categories with equity as a core principle. All the categories bring together best practices that support building strong and resilient communities by providing detailed actions designed to create thriving local economies, well-stewarded land and natural resources, vibrant and creative cultural ecosystems, dynamic and resilient planning, clean and diverse transportation systems, renewable and efficient energy infrastructure and operations, inclusive engagement, communication and education, strategic materials management, optimal health and wellness opportunities, health efficient and diverse housing, and effective and compassionate homelessness prevention. So how does Sustainable CT facilitate assisting towns with implementation and documentation of these actions? Let's look at the resources that we provide. Direct support and technical assistance include our equity coaches who work one-on-one with towns and also facilitate our group equity trainings. Workshops, trainings, educational coffee hours, and our podcast provide support for our actions. Our fellowship program brings talented students, primarily rising college juniors and seniors with a major in a sustainability-related topic, to work directly with towns on implementing actions and documenting the work that they have completed. And finally, there is our technical assistance partners and our councils of government, without whose support and expertise, our program would not be possible. So our Community Match Fund is a very unique resource. Towns need only to register with Sustainable CT to access our Community Match Fund. Project sponsors can be individuals in the community, groups, or nonprofits, anyone with a good idea who wants to improve their community. Our crowdfunding is matched dollar for dollar up to $7,500, so your total project cost could be up to $15,000, with coaching provided for project leaders. Access to funding to promote affordable housing is one of the fund's uses. So you see one of the projects that the Community Match Fund funded, and it just needs to have somebody from that community bring a good idea forward. And we have used that fund to fund affordable housing initiatives. Certification is the goal of many towns. However, towns can just register and participate in the Community Match Fund or one specific action category, or just participate and use our resources to help create better communities. We have 3 categories of certification for 2023. We're introducing finally gold. To become a certified town at the bronze, silver, or gold level, towns must complete the required equity action or actions for their chosen certification level, and then at least one action in each of the other action categories to earn points towards their desired certification level. By design, towns cannot achieve certification without successfully completing actions in all categories, including the housing and homelessness categories. So what is the value to certification? There are many. Towns have reported cost savings, more efficient operations, and more residential engagement. And then there is the recognition received. Towns achieving certification are shown here being recognized at the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities annual conference. Sustainable CT also holds an annual award ceremony, and towns are permitted the use of our logo and certification badge during their 3-year period of certification. So Connecticut has a need for affordable housing statewide, and let's take a look at Sustainable CT's reach. We have 129 towns registered out of the 169 towns in Connecticut. That's 76%. We have 72 certified towns. 12 will expire at the end of 2022, but many of those are already engaged in the work required to recertify. Community Match Fund projects have been completed and funded in 76 different Connecticut towns. We have 5 towns, those are the ones shown by the little green dots there, that have taken the extraordinary steps required to become climate leaders in 2022. Finally, we have participating towns and certified towns located in all 8 of Connecticut's counties and all 9 councils of government. So how do we provide support and further affordable housing actions? For 2022, we had a 3-step, multi-step housing action offering scaled points for successful completion. So our category 11 actions related to housing, and by scaled points, I mean the more that towns do, the more points they receive. So action 11.1 was very closely tied to the state requirement under Connecticut General Statute 8-30J for towns to adopt an affordable housing plan that was required to be submitted to OPM by June 1st. Towns receive points for creating a housing committee, presenting their housing data profile at a public meeting in their town, and if they researched and presented additional housing-related data, they could earn more points. Then finally, the creation, adoption, and dissemination of their affordable housing plan earned them maximum points. Action 11.2, grow sustainable and affordable housing options, again offered scaled points for things like identifying the percentage of affordable housing in their town, calculating the change in affordable housing over time with points awarded for showing an increase in the percentage of affordable housing over the previous 5 years. The greater the increase, the greater the points. And dedicating municipal funding to affordable housing development. The final action for 2022, completion of action 11.3, implement policy for sustainable diverse housing options. This action again offered scaled points for implementing zoning and other policies to support new housing units, preserve diversity and promote inclusivity, adoption of incentive housing zones, relaxing permitting requirements for ADUs, allowing unrelated persons to live as a household unit, and permitting a density bonus for created affordable units. For 2022, Sustainable CT certified 15 bronze level towns and 9 silver level towns. Each of these 24 towns were successful in completing at least one of the housing actions in category 11 that I spoke about, but many of them completed several and much more than the minimum requirement. So how do we take on 2023? Category 11.1 has been revised to reflect that we've moved from that period where creating affordable housing plans and adopting them receive credit into giving credit for affordable housing plan implementation. Successful completion of this action requires that the town submit documentation of a policy change, a program implementation, or an educational event. This is limited to new action credit, meaning they can't dig deep in their files and find something that was done years ago and bring it forward for credit. This action would have to have occurred on or after January 1st of 2020. And again, the more towns do, the more credit they earn. Some examples of things that will earn them credit in 2023 for housing actions are updating municipal zoning regulations to allow more diverse housing stock, implementing a first-time buyer program for low or moderate income buyers, offering tax incentives in exchange for affordable units in new or redeveloped housing, forming partnerships with affordable housing advocacy organizations, using a housing trust fund to place income limitations on new housing units, inventorying municipally owned parcels for potential affordable housing development, or hosting educational or outreach events that educate members on affordable housing. So what else are we up to? Equity is a core value at Sustainable CT. Our 2021-22 affordable housing pilot, Optimizing for Equity, Empowering, Educating, and Adapting to Address Housing Segregation and Promote Affordable Housing, brought residents impacted by housing inequity to the table to share their lived experience and build relationships and trust with town planners and zoning commissioners. It was a powerful model, and this innovative planning model will now be applied to plan implementation. For 2023, Sustainable CT will continue this equity model by integrating lived experience into the process of affordable housing implementation and planning. With the support of our housing partner agencies and the Council of Government, we hope to co-create pathways to plan implementation. This program is generously funded by the Hartford Foundation for Public Giving, and working with communities within the Capital Region Council of Governments, Sustainable CT Equity Coaches will ensure that the voices of those experiencing the affordable housing crisis are included in the process and help inform housing policy and solutions. We'll bring together residents, town officials, planning, and commission members to work together and co-create strategies to municipal affordable housing plan implementation. A tool that we hope will make this easier is our Affordable Housing Strategies database. This can be used to connect towns across Connecticut with similar adopted strategies so that they can co-create solutions. The Affordable Housing Strategies database was created by the 2022 Sustainable CT Fellows cohort as their summer project. Our 12 fellows were stationed across the state, working from the 9 Council of Government offices with direct access to towns within their COG. The creators of this database were our 2022 fellows, Michio Agresta, Lily Adamo, Adrian Beckford, Liam Ford, Adrian Huck, Serena Livingston, Monet Paradise, Liam Remus, Haley Skybeck, Annika Schiffer-Delegard, Quinn Walters, and Emily Biggle. Emily Biggle is here today to co-present with me. She was a 2022 Sustainable CT Fellow, an Environmental Studies and Geographic Information Science major, and a member of the University of Connecticut class of 2023. So I would like to invite Emily, my co-presenter, to take over. I will go through the slides, and Emily is going to show you how they developed the strategies database, what it contains, and how we can use it. Emily?
Thanks, Mary. Hi, everyone. As Mary said, my name is Emily Biggle, and I worked as a Sustainable CT Fellow this past summer in the Capital Region Council of Governments. Along with the work done with various municipalities in the Capital Region, the other fellows and I were tasked with a group project, collectively developing a database of affordable housing plans within Connecticut and including their specifics that supported the future development of affordable housing actions and programming by Sustainable Connecticut. The goal of this project was to analyze individual member towns' statistical data, identified barriers, common themes, and intended actions regarding affordable housing to inform implementation strategies that can be used at the COG level to help member towns co-create affordable housing solutions over the next 2 to 3 years. Throughout the research portion and creation of the database, the fellows delivered the following: a searchable and sortable database template for cataloging municipal affordable housing plan content, a database with gathered affordable housing plan data entered into the template, which will be used to create strategies for affordable housing plan implementation programming by Sustainable CT, identification of cross-COG community opportunities to implement given affordable housing strategies, and finally, a written report and presentation on findings and recommendations. Next slide. Our methodology throughout the project was reliant on teamwork, communication, and organization. One of the critical components of our project was meeting as a cohort once weekly to check in, set personal deadlines, and work towards the next week's objective. The database is intended to be a searchable database that allows the strategies from affordable housing plans to be comparable across the state of Connecticut. This process included compiling all of the affordable housing plans. We utilized a collaborative approach where every fellow was responsible for collecting data from municipalities in their assigned COG. Next. We started by listing out all the strategies in full from the affordable housing plans. One challenge we then discovered was many towns did not have completed affordable housing plans. Our solution was to use the strategies from the Plan of Conservation and Development that mentioned affordable housing in order to offer a complete picture of the state. Through our familiarity with the strategies themselves, we then compiled a list of keywords that were found throughout the strategies. We then organized those words into 9 umbrella categories that organize the aim of the strategies themselves. The 9 umbrella terms that we used were development, education, finance, planning, program, subsidy, transportation, water, and zoning. These words are then tagged using an Excel equation. I would like to specifically recognize Nick Trabka, a data scientist from West COG, as an invaluable resource and help when it came to the technicalities of assigning tags and using equations in Excel. Next. So the screenshot here is the keyword list along with the 9 umbrella terms. Using the filter tool, you can use the database to compare towns within or across a COG. It also may be used to filter by umbrella term or if a town has an affordable housing plan. Next. The screenshot here is the strategies tagged sheet in the database. And as you can see, separate aspects of each municipality's affording housing plan have been given a UID, a unique identifier, where the Excel formula sorts through the strategy and assigns it yes or blank, depending on if the strategy contains keywords from any given umbrella term. Next. We also included the area where we found our information for the sake of continuity and ease of comparability. This includes whether the strategies were taken from an affordable housing plan or a POCD. If it is published or still a draft, as well as dates, is also included. This is a rapidly changing area where new plans are still being currently released, and we hoped that our database would be updatable and useful over time. Next. Users of the strategy database have the option to use the report function to find a specific information that they may be looking for. In this example, I use finance as the chosen strategy category. Then, as you can see, I'm able to select keywords from that category. I used housing authority and housing trust fund in this example. Next. Running this report will let the user see which towns in which COGS have the keywords housing authority and housing trust fund embedded in their affordable housing strategies. As you can see, Deep River, Farmington, and Greenwich are just some of the resulting towns. The list continues onward to include Mansfield and Newington as well. Next. Users also have the option to filter by Council of Government. For example, if I were a municipal official working on affordable housing in the capital region and wanted to look at surrounding COGs for inspiration, ideas, or cross-COG projects that related to housing trust funds and housing authorities, I could use the filter tool to deselect the capital region and see the resulting surrounding towns, Deep River in River COG and Greenwich in West COG. We truly hope that our database will be a useful tool for informing implementation strategies that can be used at the Council of Government level to help member towns co-create affordable housing solutions over the next few years. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. And I just want to always include this slide because the work that we do would not be possible without our funders. As a nonprofit organization, we rely on them. If you want to learn more about the affordable housing actions or the benefits of sustainable CT, we are always available on the web at www.sustainablect.org or at info@sustainablect.org. You can send an email and reach the entire team with the info@ email. So I know we only have a few minutes. If there's any questions, I think we have a couple of minutes. And I'm going to go through and just read these questions here. Somebody has put in, OPM shows not all towns have submitted plans. As an organization that has been working with willing towns, thoughts on what the state should do to incentivize or penalize those towns that have not submitted anything. So thank you for that question. We are following the towns that are submitting. I will tell you there's definitely a trend. Towns that have exceeded that 10% level of affordable housing largely have not submitted their plans. There are a number of other towns that have included affordable housing actions in their plans of conservation and development. Some have taken an extensive amount of time to study the issue and put some very thoughtful strategies and implementations in place. And then we are adding towns as they become added to the OPM list. So our database will be updated. Hopefully the Sustainable CT program will be an incentive. We tend not to make any suggestions for legislative action, but we do try to incentivize compliance through our program. So in order to be a Sustainable CT certified community, you would have to complete the housing actions, and they are very closely aligned with implementing now those affordable housing plans. And I don't know if I see any others coming up. I think that is it for the questions. So I will thank you all for being here today. I really appreciate it. And please remember that email info@sustainablecT.org, and that will come directly to me and the rest of our team. And we're happy to answer questions about our programming or use of the database. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Mary. Thanks, Emily.